I've decided to start a new life without you." The words hung in the air of the upscale restaurant where we'd gathered to celebrate my son's medical school graduation. Michael, my husband of 28 years, stood with his champagne glass still raised, his announcement displacing the toast he was supposed to be making to Lucas's achievements. The clinking of silverware ceased. Conversations halted mid-sentence. 50 pairs of eyes darted between Michael and me, waiting for my reaction. For the tears, the shouting, the dramatic exit everyone expected. Instead, I smiled. "Congratulations on your honesty. My name is Evelyn Mercer. I am 54 years old, and until this moment, I had been playing the role of the devoted wife and mother perfectly. I put my own career aspirations on hold to support Michael through 3 business ventures, 2 career changes, and countless finding himself phases. I raised our brilliant sons, Lucas, who sat beside me now, his doctoral robe still perched on his head, his expression frozen in horror. From the corner of my eye, I could see Vanessa Wells, Michael's much younger girlfriend, shifting uncomfortably at the back table, where she sat with people I had considered friends for decades, the same friends who apparently knew about the affair but never thought to tell me, the same Vanessa who had attended our Christmas parties, who had once called me for advice about her career. With practiced calm, I reached into my handbag and pulled out a sealed cream-colored envelope. I placed it gently beside Michael's plate. "What's this?" he asked, his triumphant expression faltering. "Something for you to read later," I replied, keeping my voice steady. I turned to Lucas, whose face had gone pale. I kissed his cheek. "I am so proud of you, sweetheart. This day is still about your accomplishment." Then I stood, smoothed my dress, and addressed our stunned guests. "Please enjoy your meal. I wish you all a lovely afternoon." With that, I walked out of the restaurant, my head held high, feeling 50 pairs of eyes following me. The heavy door swung shut behind me, cutting off the beginning of anxious murmurs. Outside, the Augusta summer heat hit me like a wall, but I welcomed it. For the first time in years, I could breathe freely. I raised our brilliant son Lucas, who sat beside me now, his doctoral robe still perched on his head, his expression frozen in horror. From the corner of my eye, I could see Cassandra Wells, Michael's much younger girlfriend, shifting uncomfortably at the back table, where she sat with people I had considered friends for decades, the same friends who apparently knew about the affair, but never thought to tell me, the same Cassandra who had attended our Christmas parties, who had once called me for advice about his career. With practiced calm, I reached into my handbag and pulled out a sealed, cream-colored envelope. I placed it gently beside Michael's plate. "What's this?" he asked, his triumphant expression faltering. "Something for you to read later," I replied, keeping my voice steady. I turned to Lucas, whose face had gone pale. I kissed his cheek. "I am so proud of you, sweetheart. This day is still about your accomplishment." Then I stood, smoothed my dress, and addressed our stunned guests. "Please enjoy your meal. I wish you all a lovely afternoon." With that, I walked out of the restaurant, my head held high, feeling 50 pairs of eyes following me. The heavy door swung shut behind me, cutting off the beginning of anxious murmurs. Outside, the Augusta summer heat hit me like a wall, but I welcomed it. For the first time in years, I could breathe freely. Behind me, I heard the restaurant door open and slam shut, followed by Michael's voice, no longer confident, but high-pitched and frantic. "Evelyn, what the hell is this? What have you done?" I kept walking, allowing myself a small smile. The envelope I'd handed him contained the beginning of my revenge, one I'd been meticulously planning. For months, I had always been the practical one in our marriage. While Michael dreamed big and took risks, I maintained the stability our family needed. I was the one who saved for Lucas's education. When Michael invested unwisely in his friend's restaurant venture, I was the one who worked extra hours as a finance manager at Truvanta Corp, and when his midlife crisis led him to quit his stable position to follow his passion, selling handcrafted furniture, a passion that lasted approximately 6 months before he grew bored. My own dreams opening a financial consultancy for women were perpetually on hold. After Lucas graduates, I told myself, after Michael finds stability, but 3 months ago, I noticed discrepancies in our joint accounts. Small transfers, consistent, amounts just low enough not to raise immediate red flags. But I am a forensic accountant by training. Numbers don't lie, and they don't disappear. I didn't confront Michael, not yet. Something in my gut told me to watch, to wait, so I did. And what I found was worse than I had imagined. Michael had been funneling money into a separate account for over a year, money meant for our retirement, and Lucas's education fund was being used to pay for hotel stays, jewelry, and even a down payment on a condo in Vanessa's name. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was financial. He was building a new life, but not alone, with my resources. So, I started documenting everything. I took screenshots, printed statements, made backups. I met quietly with a divorce attorney who specialized in high-asset cases and had a reputation for discretion. Together, we reviewed the prenuptial agreement Michael had insisted we sign, an agreement he believed was ironclad and expired after 15 years. He was wrong. Clause 12 contained a stipulation that in the event of infidelity, the non-cheating spouse retained rights to 75% of joint assets, regardless of time passed, a clause I had added after Michael's emotional entanglement with a co-worker in year 10 of our marriage. He had signed it without reading the revised version. Classic Michael. The morning of Lucas's graduation, I filed the divorce papers and arranged for them to be served at the restaurant. The envelope. It contained not just the papers, but copies of the bank transfers, photos, screenshots of messages, and a letter detailing exactly how and when he would be leaving the house. He thought he was making a grand exit, but really, he was walking straight into mine. Instead, I drove to our home, a spacious colonial in Augusta's historic district that we had purchased 15 years ago, the house that Michael had already promised to Cassandra, according to text messages he didn't realize I had seen. I parked in the driveway and calmly entered what had been our shared space for over a decade. Everything looked the same. The family photos on the walls, the antique grandfather clock that had been my father's, the worn leather couch, where Michael and I had once dreamed of our future together. Yet everything had changed. I went upstairs to the master bedroom and opened the closet. Michael's clothing was already packed in suitcases, hidden in the back, ready for his planned departure tomorrow. I smiled at his predictability. He had always been meticulous about clothing, but careless about the important things. I went into my office, the one room in the house that was entirely mine, and opened my secure file drawer. Inside were neatly labeled folders, containing copies of everything: financial statements, emails, screenshots, the prenuptial agreement, and even a recorded conversation Michael had with Cassandra that I had captured using a legal call recording app. In it, he detailed how he planned to leave me after the graduation party, citing a public setting as the best way to avoid a scene. He told her I was too dependent, too emotional, that I'd fall apart, and he could walk away, clean. She'll get over it, he had said. She always does. I played it again, just to remind myself why I was doing this. Then, I placed the flash drive back into its case, locked it in my travel bag, and waited. 3 hours later, I heard Michael's car in the driveway. The front door slammed. "Evelyn," he shouted. "Where the hell are you?" I was in the living room, calmly reviewing some documents on my laptop. I closed it, waited. He stormed in, his face flushed, the envelope crumpled in one hand. "What the hell is this?" he demanded. "You served me divorce papers." Today, I met his eyes. "You wanted a new life," I said evenly. "I'm simply helping you start it." "You can't do this." "I can. And I have. The house is mine. The assets are frozen. You will be hearing from my lawyer tomorrow morning." He blinked, clearly caught off guard. "Wait, you didn't consult one, did you?" The color drained from his face as reality sank in. The prenup he had insisted upon to protect his potential wealth would now cost him everything. The house, the vacation property in Savannah, his portion of our retirement accounts. His grand gesture at the restaurant had just become the most expensive announcement of his life. "You can't do this to me," Michael said, collapsing onto the couch. "We built this life together, and you chose to end it," I replied, "though not in the way you planned." Michael's phone buzzed persistently in his pocket. He glanced at it, then ignored it. Cassandra, no doubt, wondering where he was and why he wasn't following their carefully orchestrated plan. I walked to the fireplace mantel and retrieved the second envelope. "This," I said, handing it to him, "is a list of all the items you'll need to remove from the house by the end of the week. The movers are scheduled for Friday." He blinked. "You're serious?" "Deadly. You don't get to play the victim here," he snapped. "You blindsided me at our son's graduation, and you cheated on me for over a year with someone half your age." He looked away. "She loves me." "No, Michael. She loves the version of you who is spending my money to fund her lifestyle. The real you, the one with frozen accounts, bad credit, and a pending divorce. Not so much." Michael stood there, eyes wide, breath shallow. "You set me up," he whispered. "I protected myself. I corrected. Something you taught me, even if you didn't mean to." He laughed bitterly. "Who are you?" I met his gaze, unflinching. "The woman you underestimated." He slumped onto the couch again, defeated. "You'll regret this." "Evelyn." "Perhaps," I said, "but it won't be today." He stared at the envelope in his hands, the one with his future spelled out in bullet points and itemized lists. I left him there, surrounded by the relics of a life he thought he controlled. The door clicked softly behind me as I stepped into the sunlight. "Free. Diana's tonight." "Diana's," he sputtered. "My sister's house." I nodded. "She's quite upset with you, actually. He was the one who first spotted you and Cassandra together last Christmas. He didn't tell me immediately. He confronted you first. You promised him it was nothing, that you would end it. When he realized you hadn't, he came to me. This was another blow he hadn't anticipated. Diana and I had always been close, but Michael never imagined his own sister would choose my side. "Everyone's betraying me," he muttered. "Ironic, isn't it?" I gathered my purse and a small overnight bag I had packed earlier. "You have until tomorrow evening to remove your things from the house. After that, the locks will be changed." I left without another word. Driving to Diana's, as the last light of day faded, she welcomed me with open arms and a bottle of wine. Lucas arrived shortly after. Having taken a separate car to give me space, he hugged me tightly. "I didn't know," he said. "I didn't want to ruin your day," I replied. "But you deserve to celebrate without lies hanging over us." He nodded. "I'll stay at school for the summer, finish some hospital rotations. You should have the house to yourself. Lucas, this is your home too." He smiled. "Maybe, but you've earned some peace, and maybe a little loud music and wine with Aunt Diana." We laughed, really laughed, for the first time in a long while. That night, I lay in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, processing the surreal whirlwind of the day. Grief tugged at the edges of my peace. Grief for the love I once felt, for the future I thought I had. But beneath it was a growing sense of clarity, of strength, of rebirth. I had faced public humiliation. With dignity, I had confronted betrayal. With strategy, I had protected my son, myself, and my future. Michael had wanted freedom. He got it, but I got something better. Not just revenge, reinvention, independence, and academic pursuits. Over the years, I had sometimes envied his freedom. "What did you put in that envelope that made him so upset?" he asked. I explained the contents, the divorce filing, the evidence of his financial deception, and most importantly, the prenuptial agreement that would leave him with far less than he had planned. The prenup, Diana mused. I remember when he insisted on it. Father had just given him that money for his first business, and he was so worried about protecting it. He laughed bitterly. The irony is delicious. My phone rang. "Lucas." I took a deep breath before answering. "Mom," he said immediately, his voice strained. "I'm coming over to Aunt Diana's." "Lucas, you just got home. You should rest." "I can't rest. Dad just left a bunch of voicemails. He's blaming you, saying you ambushed him, that you turned the whole family against him." "I didn't turn anyone." "Lucas, people saw what they saw. They made their own choices." There was a pause. "He's not the man I thought he was," Lucas said quietly. "I think he's scared. He should be. I'm not mad at you. Mom, I wish I'd known sooner. I feel stupid." "Don't. You're not. You're compassionate. That's not a weakness." Lucas arrived within the hour. He hugged me tightly, longer than usual. Diana gave us space, retreating to the kitchen. "I love you," he said, "and I'm proud of you." Tears welled in my eyes. I had feared losing him, feared that Michael's narrative would taint our bond. But here he was, choosing truth, choosing me. That night, as we sat on the porch, sipping tea and listening to cicadas hum in the humid Georgia night, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Hope. Conversation. Diana went to answer it, returning moments later with a troubled expression. "It's Michael," she said, "and he's not alone." I steeled myself. As Diana led Michael and Cassandra into the living room, Cassandra looked uncomfortable, shifting her weight from one foot to the other, her eyes darting around the room. She was 37, not exactly a trophy wife, but still 17 years my junior, with shoulder-length blonde hair, and the kind of confidence that comes from never having faced real hardship. Michael, by contrast, looked furious. His earlier desperation had hardened into anger. "Evelyn, you need to stop this insanity," he demanded. "Unfreeze the accounts. We can discuss this like reasonable adults." Lucas stood up, placing himself slightly in front of me. "Maybe you should have tried being reasonable before announcing to everyone that you were leaving Mom." Cassandra shifted again. "This isn't what I signed up for." "Michael, you told me everything was handled, that she'd be okay with it, that you were civil." Michael's jaw clenched. "I didn't think she'd be this vindictive." "Standing up for myself is not vindictive," I said, my voice calm. "It's survival." Michael turned to Lucas. "You're really siding with her. After everything I've done for you." Lucas didn't flinch. "You lied to Mom. You lied to me. And you dragged your mistress to my graduation dinner, like it was a casual brunch. So yeah, I'm siding with the person who didn't make our family a punchline." Michael opened his mouth to respond, but Cassandra beat him to it. "You never told me you had a prenup," she snapped, her eyes now burning into Michael's. "You said the house was yours, that the money was yours. You said she was fragile, that she'd go quietly." "Well, clearly she didn't," I said. Michael turned to me, his face pale. "I'll make this right." "No, Michael," I said. "You won't, because this time, You don't get to rewrite the narrative. I turned to Cassandra. You should probably leave. Michael will need time to come to terms with the consequences of his choices. Cassandra didn't argue. She gathered her purse, muttered something about needing clarity, and walked out. The silence that followed was the loudest moment of the evening. To talk to your mother privately. The announcement today was unexpected. Michael shot her a betrayed look. Cracks were already forming in their united front. I think you both should leave, Diana said firmly. You've upset Lucas enough for one day. Lucas, Michael pleaded. You understand that relationships change. Don't you? Sometimes people grow apart. My son's face hardened, in a way I had never seen before. What I understand is that you're a coward who couldn't even give Mom the dignity of a private conversation. What I understand is that you were stealing from our family while I was working 2 jobs to help pay for my textbooks because you said money was tight. Michael paled. That's not how it was. It's exactly how it was. Lucas cut him off. Please leave, Dad. I can't look at you right now. The silence that followed was deafening. Michael opened his mouth again, but I shook my head. There's nothing else to say. You've made your choices. Now live with them. He left without another word. Diana closed the door behind him and leaned against it with a sigh. Well, she said, that was a disaster, but also kind of satisfying. Lucas nodded. I needed that. Closure, I guess. I hugged him again, feeling years of tension begin to unravel. For the first time, I wasn't holding us all together by sheer force of will. We were okay. Later that evening, as Diana and I sipped wine on the porch, we watched the stars blink into existence, one by one. Peace, for once, felt permanent. In the days that followed, Michael attempted damage control. He called family members, mutual friends, colleagues. He tried to spin the story as a misunderstanding, a communication breakdown. But the truth had already rooted itself. People weren't angry because he fell out of love. They were angry because of the cowardice, the deception, the entitlement. He didn't just leave a marriage. He tried to erase a partner who had built that marriage with him, and people noticed. Meanwhile, I began laying the foundation for something new, a consulting firm, focused on financial literacy for women, starting over after Betrayal. I called it Mercer Financial Transitions. Evidence of systematic fund transfers appears to violate the financial disclosure requirements in Section 23. He shuffled through the papers, then looked up. I am ruling to maintain the freeze on joint accounts, pending full financial discovery. Mr. Caldwell's personal account will remain accessible to him. The family home will remain in Mrs. Caldwell's possession during proceedings, as stipulated in the prenuptial agreement's infidelity clause. Michael's face flushed dark red. This is outrageous, he muttered, loud enough for me to hear. The judge fixed him with a stern look. Mr. Caldwell, I suggest you review the agreement you signed more carefully. This court will reconvene in 30 days for the full hearing. After discovery is complete, outside the courtroom, Michael tried to speak with me, to apologize, to reason, to guilt me. I didn't engage, not out of cruelty, but because it was no longer my burden. He had made choices, and now he faced the consequences. Lucas stood beside me, solid and unshaken. Proud of you, Mom, he said. Those words meant more than any verdict ever could. That afternoon, we went out for lunch, just the 2 of us. No tension, no pretending, just peace. In the weeks that followed, Michael's narrative continued to unravel. Cassandra moved out of the condo he had put in her name. She blocked his number. Apparently, a man with frozen assets, limited credit, and a reputation for betrayal wasn't quite as appealing. Meanwhile, I finalized the details for Mercer Financial Transitions. Our first workshop was fully booked. Word had spread about the woman who had been blindsided and refused to fall. I became something unexpected, a voice for others. Women reached out, some strangers, some old friends, sharing their stories, and I listened because I knew how it felt to scream in silence. Widowhood, career changes. The work was immediately fulfilling, in a way my corporate job never had been. Lucas, who had taken a job at a prestigious hospital in Charleston, called me regularly. "I'm so proud of you, Mum," he told me after I described my growing client list. "You're helping people during their worst moments." "I'm just doing what I wish someone had done for me earlier," I replied, preparing women for whatever might come. Being needed for my expertise, rather than my caregiving, was a novel and empowering experience. The final divorce hearing fell on what would have been our 33rd anniversary, a fitting end to a chapter of my life that had lasted nearly 3 decades. Michael looked thinner and more tired than I'd ever seen him. He didn't speak as the judge signed the final decree, didn't make a scene, didn't offer a final plea, just nodded. It was done. Outside the courthouse, he approached me one last time. "You won," he said quietly. "This was never about winning," I replied. "It was about surviving and rebuilding." He nodded again. Then, to my shock, he reached into his pocket and handed me a small velvet box. Inside was the locket I had given him. "On our 10th anniversary, I kept it," he said. "I thought maybe someday you'd want it back." I closed the box and held it in my palm. It was warm from being in his pocket, heavy, with everything it represented: loss, love, betrayal, growth. "Goodbye, Michael," I said. Then I turned and walked away. No more looking back, only forward, and this time on my own terms.